A body cam captured a group of bikers touring on a freeway. There was a black sedan that attempted to overtake them. However, the bikers were not having any of it. One of them sped up to the front and crossed the sedan, then signaled for the sedan to move out of the way. Instead of moving out of the way, the black car sped to the front, forcing all the bikes to come to a halt beside the road. Naturally, the bikers were probably ready to brawl, but little did they know that the occupants of the car were Mafia members. One of the occupants got down and went straight for the guy who had signaled them to move aside. He yelled at the guy who almost slapped his helmet off, but they weren't done with him. Another Mafia guy walked up to him after picking something from the car trunk, yelling furiously.
Abi hani hızlı geliyorlar ya, kontrol amaçlı ya. Abi kontrol amaçlı.
It was pretty clear that had it developed into an actual brawl, it wouldn't have been good for the biker gang. It took the intervention of a passerby holding a camera for the Mafia to leave the guys in the motorcycle and return to their car. Massimo Carminati, a prominent figure linked to the infamous Mafia Capital scandal, has been apprehended by the Carabinieri. The dramatic arrest unfolded in Sacapano, where Carminati was seen driving a small smart car. Surveillance footage captures the moment he was intercepted by the Carabinieri's specialized care unit, who acted swiftly to detain him.
Piano, piano, piano.
Non lo vedo, non lo vedo, non lo vedo, non lo vedo, non lo vedo. Guida lui, guida lui.
This high-profile arrest is the result of a prolonged and meticulous investigation into a wide-reaching corruption network. Realizing he had nowhere to run to, he respectfully exited the vehicle and was taken into custody. Reports are that the probe has unveiled deep ties between Rome's political establishment and influential business entities, implicating several key players. Carminati, known for his pivotal role in orchestrating these illicit activities, is alleged to have played a central part in the corruption scheme that has shaken Italy's capital to its core.
Signore, vada fuori. Carabinieri, vada fuori. Ferma la macchina, ferma la macchina.
Taverna bloccato. K ricevuto.
80-year-old Settimo Mineo, a jeweler and alleged mafia boss, has been arrested in a sweeping operation alongside 45 others. Authorities accuse Mineo of assuming leadership of the notorious Cosa Nostra and reviving the long-defunct Mafia Council, known as the Cupola, which had not convened since 1993.
Un maglioncino, lui è considerato dagli inquirenti e dai carabinieri del comando provinciale di Palermo che lo hanno arrestato il capo dei capi, l'erede di Totò Riina, morto un anno fa. Quest'uomo, secondo gli inquirenti.
The arrest marks a significant victory in the fight against organized crime, striking a major blow to the Cosa Nostra's efforts to reassert its dominance. Mineo's capture, following years of surveillance and intelligence gathering, underscores law enforcement's commitment to dismantling the remnants of the once powerful Sicilian Mafia. The operation is being hailed as a crucial step in preventing the resurgence of this criminal organization. Mafias are always ruthless. What you see here is the aftermath of a failed highway robbery, where a group of robbers from a crime family attempted a heist but ultimately failed. In an act of frustration and retaliation, the criminals decided to set fire to several cars, leaving a trail of destruction behind them. Even the Italian police are finding it challenging to deal with the situation, as the robbers resorted to extreme measures to make up for their failed attempt. The scene was chaotic, with multiple vehicles engulfed in flames and authorities scrambling to contain the damage. The police must have been working tirelessly to track down the culprits, but the violent nature of the robbery has made the situation particularly difficult to manage. A gang in Catania, Sicily, caused mayhem by smashing a car through the entrance of a shopping mall in a bold robbery. The thieves crashed the vehicle directly into the mall's front doors, driving through the hallways and wreaking havoc as they stole valuables from various stores. As they raced through the building, one can imagine how shoppers and employees would have been left stunned by the chaos unfolding around them. They went ahead from cubicle to cubicle, stealing what they could lay their hands on and threatening the employees that were already scared out of their wits. After looting the mall, the robbers fled the scene in the stolen car, leaving behind extensive damage and confusion. But security officers chased hard after them. A major anti-mafia operation in Palermo has resulted in the arrest of 19 individuals, including Tommaso Inzerillo, a key figure with ties to the mafia. Inzerillo, a cousin of a notorious mafia boss, was escorted by police following his arrest. The raid, which took place in the Passo Diano area, targeted the Inzerillo and Gambino families, two powerful crime syndicates. The footage shows how officers led bosses after bosses out of their hideouts and into the waiting vehicles that would take them to face the wrath of the law. Surveillance footage has emerged showing masked robbers forcing a bank employee to open a vault during a daring heist. The video captures two of the robbers directing the employee to the vault, coercing him to open it under threat. In a tense moment, one of the robbers notices the surveillance camera recording their actions. In an attempt to block their faces from being identified, he sprays the camera, obscuring the lens and making it impossible to capture further footage. The robbers continue their operation, unaware that authorities are already analyzing the footage and gathering evidence to track them down. Surveillance footage from a gas station reveals a group of vandals causing chaos while attempting to steal cash from the station. Using a stolen vehicle, the thieves rammed into the station's payment machine, causing significant damage in the process. However, in an unexpected twist, the stolen vehicle became stuck with its wheels spinning, trapping the robbers temporarily. Despite the setback, they managed to free the vehicle and escape the scene, driving off with the stolen cash. Authorities are now reviewing the footage and working to identify the suspects involved in this brazen crime. An attempted burglary at a villa was caught on camera as thieves, said to be part of an Italian gang, managed to break into the property and move swiftly through the house. Breaking in was far from easy, though. They had to use different tools and techniques. Although the footage doesn't show the inside of the house, the suspects were likely searching for valuables with urgency, but unexpected events soon disrupted their plans. At a critical moment, the robbers' efforts were interrupted, and they were forced to come out. But fleeing the scene was impossible, since the police quickly responded to the scene, tracking down the suspects and making arrests. Defeated and cornered, the men took off their masks and laid down in surrender.
Nissan.
Running into mafia members is truly terrifying, and this video is a chilling reminder of that. The footage shows a female jewelry storekeeper going about her work when a well-dressed man walks in, appearing like just another customer. The woman, feeling at ease, proceeds into an inner room. However, she is caught off guard when the man follows her in. As she opens the safe, he suddenly grabs her by the neck, choking her to the brink of unconsciousness. Soon after, his accomplice arrives, and together they rob the store, taking all the valuables. The woman is left helpless, bound by her hands and feet on the floor. CCTV footage later captures the two men fleeing the scene on bikes. This terrifying robbery highlights the brutal tactics employed by criminals and serves as a stark warning of the danger posed by such groups. Authorities are now using the footage to track down the perpetrators and bring them to justice. A series of burglaries targeting villas and apartments in Te del Greco has been caught on surveillance footage, revealing the coordinated efforts of 3 individuals. The video shows one man acting as a lookout, carefully monitoring the surroundings for any signs of trouble, while the other 2 work to break into the targeted properties. At one point, one of the robbers belatedly becomes aware of a surveillance camera recording their activities. In a quick move, he grabs a broomstick and uses it to obscure the camera's view, attempting to conceal their actions. Hopefully, authorities were able to analyze the footage and launched an investigation to identify and apprehend the suspects involved in these burglaries. Residents will be free from such burglaries for a while. Surveillance footage captured a dramatic scene inside a jewelry store, where masked robbers stormed in and made off with $60,000 worth of jewelry. After the heist, the robbers set fire to their getaway bikes in an attempt to destroy any evidence and hinder the police pursuit. However, their efforts to cover their tracks were in vain. A police chase ensued, and despite their attempts to escape, the robbers were eventually caught. Two senior members of the Canadian Mafia were murdered in western Sicily, with police reporting that Juan Fernandez and Fernando Pimentel were struck by at least 30 bullets. Their bodies were discovered in a waste dump, a brutal scene that has shocked local authorities. Two Sicilian brothers have been arrested in connection with the killings, and investigations are ongoing to uncover the motives behind this violent act. Seven suspects have been arrested in Milan following a daring robbery of a security van. The group carried out the heist with meticulous planning, using a chainsaw to cut through the back of the armored vehicle and gain access to its contents. To further ensure their escape, they scattered nails on the road, effectively creating a hazardous obstacle to delay any immediate pursuit.
Appena fatto una rapina a un furgone blindato.
Una rapina in corso, c'è un uomo con mitra. Hanno un passamontagna.
Dei chiodi in mezzo alla strada.
The suspect's capture came after a thorough investigation, with authorities tracing phone records to identify and locate those involved. This operation shows the scary precision and coordination of the robbers, as well as the determined efforts of law enforcement to bring them to justice. Investigations are ongoing to uncover any additional links to similar crimes.
Stanno facendo praticamente scoppiare le ruote a tutte le macchine.
Si vedeva come una fiamma fisica, non so che ci hanno puntato in mitra e lui abbiamo fatto.
È messo di traverso, di tipico il passamontagna, è un tipo in ginocchio, poi me ne sono andato, un po' di paura.
Hanno fermato un camion di quelli che portano i soldi.
After evading capture for 3 decades, notorious mafia boss Matteo Messina Denaro was finally arrested in Palermo. Surveillance footage captured him entering a clinic for cancer treatment, his identity concealed by a face covering and a false name. Unbeknownst to him, Authorities had been closing in, and the Carabinieri seized the opportunity to apprehend him at the clinic, bringing an end to one of the longest escapes in Italian criminal history. Messina Denaro, once considered the most wanted man in Italy, was linked to numerous heinous crimes, including murders and extortion. His arrest marked a significant victory for law enforcement, symbolizing the relentless pursuit of justice. However, his life behind bars was brief, as he passed away in prison later that year due to his illness. His capture and subsequent death closed a dark chapter in Italy's mafia history. A daring jewelry store robbery unfolded in Matera, leaving shoppers stunned as masked thieves carried out their heist in broad daylight. 3 suspects, all dressed in white jackets, stormed into the store and began grabbing valuables from the displays with alarming speed and precision.
Individuato e arrestato dai carabinieri del nucleo investigativo del comando provinciale di Matera, uno dei presunti responsabili della rapina a mano armata compiuta lo scorso 29 agosto ai danni della gioielleria del centro commerciale di Venusio. Quel pomeriggio 3 persone giunte a bordo di una Fiat Grande Punto condotta da un complice fecero irruzione all'interno della gioielleria, impossessandosi di circa 300 pezzi d'oro per un peso complessivo pari ad oltre 1 chilogrammo.
As people watched in shock, the robbers continued their operation undeterred. In a calculated move, white smoke filled the store, obscuring the view and adding to the chaos. Seizing the moment, the thieves fled the scene with the stolen jewelry, leaving behind a scene of confusion and panic.
L'evento scosse l'opinione pubblica per le modalità in cui venne portato a termine. Tutti i rapinatori indossavano tute bianche, passamontagna e guanti, e mentre uno minacciava con un'arma automatica, probabilmente un Kalashnikov, la commessa e altri clienti facendoli sdraiare a terra, gli altri forzavano i cassetti di esposizione riversando i preziosi in contenitori di plastica. Durante la fuga a poca distanza dal centro commerciale, diedero fuoco all'autovettura utilizzata, risultata rubata qualche settimana prima in provincia di Lecce. A seguito delle indagini, condotte anche con l'uso delle intercettazioni, i carabinieri di Matera, supportati da quelli di Brindisi, hanno arrestato nella nottata di martedì 12 febbraio uno dei presunti responsabili, un pregiudicato 25enne di Brindisi. L'arrestato, che dovrà rispondere di concorso in rapina aggravata continuata, ricettazione e porto abusivo di armi da fuoco, è stato tradotto presso il carcere di Brindisi.
Intense fighting erupted in the Mexican city of Culiacan, where masked gunmen threw up burning barricades and traded gunfire with security forces. This incident ensued after the U.S. security authorities arrested one of the sons of the jailed former leader of the Sinaloa drug cartel, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Properties were destroyed, vehicles burnt, people killed during the course of this raging agitation. However, the cartel members wouldn't yield. The chaotic scenes in Culiacan, which happened to be a long-time stronghold for the Guzman's cartel, increased pressure on federal authority. Pacifying a country weary after more than a decade of drug war fighting is what the government brought to the people later on.
esta decisión se tomó para proteger a los ciudadanos. Es que no se puede apagar el fuego con el fuego. Esa es la diferencia de esta estrategia con relación a lo que han hecho los anteriores gobiernos. Nosotros no queremos muertos, no queremos la guerra.
In this video, a disturbing wreckage scene of a car burnt by a Mexican drug cartel, taking the lives of an American family. The family of 9 was reportedly caught in an apparent ambush.
This video of the smouldering wreckage of one of the family's cars, riddled with bullet holes, was filmed by the father-in-law of the woman who was driving it.
This is for the record. Nita and 4 of my grandchildren are burnt and shot up. Right on the road out of La Mora.
This was, a family member said, nothing short of a massacre. Renita LeBaron had been travelling with 4 of her children. They and all of those who died were members of a family from a Mormon community which settled in Mexico decades ago. Christina Langford also died. A number of children who survived are now in hospital in the US. Family members say they've seen the violence increasing.
Helpless families are being innocently killed down there. It's not just got caught in gunfire in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is a whole new level of cartel violence.
Although the tragic event unfolded on a dirt road between Chihuahua and Sonora states, it was only the aftermath of the clash that was covered in camera. The vehicle was burnt to ashes, no recognition. Sadly, all members of the family lost their lives to the chaotic movement.
As of this point, it's not over. We still don't know what's going to happen next.
The murder of US citizens prompted this from the president. A wonderful family and friends from Utah got caught between 2 vicious drug cartels who were shooting at each other, with the result being many great American people killed. If Mexico needs or requests help in cleaning out these monsters, the United States stands ready, willing and able to get involved and do the job quickly and effectively. This is the time for Mexico, with the help of the United States, to wage war on the drug cartels and wipe them off the face of the earth. In response, Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he will speak to Trump, but ruled out any foreign intervention.
I send
an embrace of condolence to the whole LeBaron family, to the family members of the victims. This is a terrible tragedy because children and innocents lost their lives. I'll speak with President Trump to thank him for his support and see if in cooperation agreements there's the possibility of getting help in cases where it's necessary. I don't think we need the intervention of a foreign government to deal with these cases.
Mexico's war on the cartels has done little to reduce the drug violence, and the Mormon community in the region has been the target before. Authorities say this attack might have been a case of mistaken identity. The family says without the heroism of a 13-year-old who hid his injured siblings and walked miles for help, those children would have also lost their lives.
At the San Oro jewelry store in the Grand Apulia shopping center, masked thieves executed a swift and bold heist, breaking into the store and grabbing as much as they could. The robbers moved quickly, emptying display cases of valuable items with alarming efficiency. After clearing out the shop's most prized possessions, they fled the scene, leaving the store in disarray. Shoppers and employees were left stunned by the suddenness of the robbery. The suspects used the smoke technique to make their escape. Hopefully, authorities reviewed the security footage and conducted an investigation to track down the thieves and recover the stolen items. Concetto Bonacorsi, a notorious mafia boss and leader of the Capello Bonacorsi clan, was arrested after 7 years on the run. Bonacorsi had escaped prison during a temporary leave in 2016, evading capture ever since.
La polizia ha arrestato il boss latitante Concetto Bonaccorsi, 56 anni, noto come Ucara Teddu, ricercato dal settembre 2016 quando non rientrò nel carcere di Secondigliano a Napoli dopo un permesso premio di 3 giorni. Condannato all'ergastolo per omicidio, associazione mafiosa e traffico di stupefacenti, è lo storico capo dell'omonima famiglia del clan Cappello Bonaccorsi. Le indagini della squadra mobile di Catania hanno consentito di rintracciarlo in una villa di Massa e Cozzile, dove è stato arrestato in collaborazione con la polizia di Pistoia.
His capture came after a lengthy investigation, with police tracking him down to a villa in Tuscany. In a peaceful operation, Bonacorsi was arrested without resistance and swiftly transferred back to prison. His arrest marks a significant victory for law enforcement in their ongoing efforts to dismantle the mafia's influence in Italy.
Le indagini hanno accertato che il latitante aveva trovato rifugio lontano da Catania, dove tuttavia rientrava con presenze brevi e fugaci. L'uomo è stato localizzato nella zona di Montecatini, nel Pistoiese, e a quel punto un pool di investigatori si è trasferito nella cittadina toscana per proseguire le indagini con i colleghi del posto. La certezza che la villetta tenuta sotto osservazione fosse quella giusta l'ha fornita ieri pomeriggio una donna somigliante alla moglie di Bonaccorsi. La donna si è affacciata da un balcone, poco dopo è comparso un uomo accanto a lei.
The Bandar-Dai Bancomat gang carried out a daring heist in Trentino, targeting 2 ATMs with a mix of brute force and explosives. The criminals first used steel bars to pry open the first ATM, gaining access to the cash. They then moved on to the second ATM, where they planted explosives, blowing it open and securing the stolen money. The gang made a quick escape, leaving behind the wreckage of the machines. Authorities are investigating the incident, analyzing security footage, and following up on leads to track down the perpetrators of the sophisticated robbery. Police have arrested 23-year-old Mario Rio, a notorious leader of the Camorra crime syndicate. Rio, who had been on the run since 2011, was taken into custody during a raid on his apartment. Footage of the arrest shows officers recovering a large sum of cash and a forged identification document from the premises. Rio is accused of leading a powerful drug trafficking operation within the Camorra and had been evading a 16-year prison sentence. His capture marks a significant step in dismantling the criminal network he controlled. Authorities are now investigating further connections to uncover more members of his organization and bring them to justice. In Palermo, a tense confrontation unfolded between a mafia member and a police officer. The police officer, spotting the mafia member, quickly sought cover behind a parked car. At the same time, the Mafia member took refuge behind a nearby wall. Both men aimed their weapons at each other in a standoff, each waiting for an opening. In a split-second move, the Mafia member managed to narrowly escape the situation without injury, evading capture once again. Despite the intense standoff, no injuries were reported. Authorities have launched an investigation into the incident, seeking to identify the Mafia member and prevent further escalation. A power struggle within Mexico's most violent criminal gang is causing a wave of death and destruction. A significant number of people have been involved and killed in the course of the terror.
The Sinaloa cartel's gripped in a civil war. It's paralyzing its epicenter, the city of Culiacan, and it could spread. It's the most serious conflict for 15 years.
As the rival factions battle for control of the Sinaloa cartel, bodies are turning up on the streets of the city of Culiacan.
In one of the most powerful criminal groups in Mexico. But the genesis of this war was almost 2 months ago, a plot straight out of a film.
It all starts on the morning of the 25th of July with a meeting at this ranch. One of the attendees, a 76-year-old man with a $15 million bounty on his head.
His name is Ismael Zambada, but he was better known as El Mayo, one of the founding members of the cartel. He was meeting one of its younger generation, Joaquin Guzman. Guzman was one of Los Chapitos.
The violence has been relentless with reports of shooting, kidnapping, and gruesome murders.
The sons of legendary kingpin El Chapo. They were rivals to El Mayo within the cartel, but that day they'd agreed to come together to help resolve a local political dispute. Instead, according to a letter that El Mayo subsequently released through his lawyer, something very different happened. As soon as I set foot inside of that room, I was ambushed. A group of men assaulted me, knocked me to the ground and placed a dark-coloured hood over my head, said El Mayo through his lawyer. It was a kidnapping, he claims, at Joaquin Guzman's hands.
El Mayo says that he was then handcuffed, put in the back of a truck and then driven about 25 minutes to this airstrip where he was bundled into a plane.
The airstrip's hidden in rural Sinaloa. And this is the plane. It took both Joaquin Guzman and El Mayo, he says restrained with zip ties, to El Paso, Texas. US agents were waiting for them. Guzman was turning himself in, allegedly using El Mayo as a present to US authorities to get a better deal. Guzman's lawyer denies any such deal.
Some journalists question El Mayo's letter's version of events. Would he really have been kidnapped after evading capture for decades? But many others here in Culiacan see it exactly as he tells it, the great betrayal.
And it was just the beginning of trouble to come. Over 2 months, El Mayo's son, Ismael Zambada Siqueiros, reportedly made alliances and gathered forces to start a war against the remaining Chapitos. On 9th September, it began. So far, the fights claim more than 50 dead. Meanwhile, El Mayo and Joaquin Guzman are both awaiting trial in the United States on drug trafficking and other charges.
A daring robbery in Palermo ended with 5 thieves in police custody after a dramatic sequence of events. Surveillance footage captured the thieves storming into the establishment, threatening employees and locking them in the back of the building. With the staff contained, the robbers quickly grabbed valuables and attempted to flee through a broken window. However, their escape plan was thwarted as police quickly responded and engaged in a chase. The thieves were apprehended shortly after, and the stolen goods were recovered. The notorious Bandera del Bujo gang executed a bold and calculated heist in Milan. They stormed into a bank, immediately spraying the security camera to disable it and prevent any chance of being recorded. With the camera down, the robbers swiftly stole over 1 million euros, making off with the stolen cash before fleeing the scene. The bank was left in chaos, with employees and customers stunned by the audacity of the crime. The gang's quick and efficient operation has authorities scrambling to identify them through other means, such as witness testimonies and nearby surveillance footage. The robbery has raised concerns about the increasing sophistication of criminal groups in the region. A gang of thieves uses a stolen digger to steal an ATM in Valverde, Sicily, which was captured on CCTV. Through some serious efforts, the thieves ripped the ATM from the wall with the digger, creating a loud noise. It's a surprise that the noise attracted no one, not even the authorities. After successfully ripping off the ATM containing hard-earned cash of others, they proceeded to load the machine into a white van and quickly fled the scene. In another incident, A brazen ATM robbery was captured on a bystander's phone camera. The footage shows the suspects working frantically to break into the machine, using tools in a desperate attempt to access the cash inside. Despite their determined efforts, they struggled to breach the ATM's secure mechanisms. Realizing their plan was failing, the would-be thieves abandoned the heist and fled the scene in a hurry, leaving behind evidence of their failed attempt. Authorities are now reviewing the footage and urging anyone with information to come forward to assist in identifying the suspects.